Hi friends, we are going to look into Maxwell's equations now. Now before Maxwell we had these four equations. Del bar dot E bar is equal to rho upon epsilon naught. This is the Gauss law. Del bar dot B bar is equal to 0. Del bar cross E bar is equal to minus del B bar by del T. This is the Faraday's law. And del bar cross B bar is equal to mu naught J bar. This is the Ampere's law. Now we also know that the divergence of a curl is 0, right? So when we take the divergence of this curl and the divergence of this curl, both of that should come out to be 0. Let's do that. So the divergence of first del bar cross E bar is nothing but del bar dot minus del B bar by del T, and this is equal to del by del T can come out and we'll have minus del by del T del bar dot B bar, but del bar dot B bar is 0, so this term is 0 and this comes out to be 0. That is right. Similarly here also the divergence of the curl should be 0, that is del bar cross B bar should be equal to 0. But what is del bar cross B bar? It is mu naught J bar, del bar dot mu naught J bar. So mu naught will come out and we have only del bar dot J bar. Here this J is the current density and del bar dot J bar is 0 only for steady currents. For non-steady currents this is not equal to 0. Therefore now Maxwell he modified this Ampere's law because this value should come out to be 0 for all types of cases, right? So Maxwell he modified this Ampere's law by considering the continuity equation, which is del bar dot J bar is equal to minus del rho by del T. What does this continuity equation say? It says that if charge is moving out of a differential volume, then the amount of charge within the volume will decrease. That is, the divergence of the volume current density is dependent on the rate of change of volume charge density. So if we have del bar dot J bar is equal to minus del rho by del T, and rho here is what? Del dot E into epsilon. So this can be minus del by del T epsilon naught del bar dot E bar. So epsilon naught can come out and we will have minus also outside, and we can take del bar also outside, so we will have dot del E bar by del T. Take this term on this side, we will have del bar dot J bar plus epsilon naught del E bar by del T. This is equal to 0. So now here we can replace this J here with this entire thing, that is instead of this J which was here we will replace it by this. So now this fourth equation will become del bar dot del bar cross B bar is equal to mu naught J bar plus epsilon naught mu naught del E bar by del T. So this is the Maxwell's first equation, which is nothing but the Gauss law. This is the Maxwell's second equation. This is the Maxwell's third equation, which is the Faraday's law, and this is the Maxwell's fourth equation, which is the modified Ampere's law. So this term epsilon naught del E bar by del T, this term epsilon naught del E bar by del T is called as the displacement current, which can be represented by JD. So in terms of free charges and free currents, we can write our Maxwell's equations as del bar dot D bar is equal to rho free. This will be as it is, del bar dot B bar is equal to 0. This will be as it is, del bar cross E bar is equal to minus del B bar by del T. Here we can take mu naught down and we will have here del bar cross H bar is equal to J free plus epsilon naught del E bar by del T, and this epsilon naught E is nothing but D. So this here we can write as del D by del T. Now in integral form, this can be written as closed integration over surface S d bar dot dA bar is equal to Q free enclosed, and this will be integration over surface S B bar dot dA bar is equal to 0. This will be closed integration over the curve C E bar dot dL bar is equal to minus d by dt of integration over surface S B bar dot dA bar. This will be closed integration over surface C H bar dot dL bar is equal to J free will become I free enclosed plus d by dt of integration of E d bar dot dA bar. This is the integral form of this Maxwell's equation. Now we will look into the electromagnetic wave propagation through vacuum or free space or air. So let's look at our four Maxwell's equations first, which were del bar dot E bar is equal to rho upon epsilon naught, del bar dot B bar is equal to 0, del bar cross E bar is equal to minus del B bar by del T, and del bar cross B bar is equal to mu naught J bar plus epsilon naught mu naught del E bar by del T. This equation says that changing magnetic field gives rise to or induces an electric field, and this equation says that changing electric field induces a magnetic field. Now in vacuum or free space or air, we don't have any charges or currents. Then in that case this rho will be 0 and the J will also be equal to 0. So our equations here in this condition in vacuum will turn into del bar dot E bar is equal to 0, del bar dot B bar is equal to 0, del bar cross E bar is equal to minus del B bar by del T, and del bar cross B bar will be equal to epsilon naught mu naught del E bar by del T. Epsilon naught is the permittivity of free space and mu naught is the permeability of free space or vacuum. Now we will get the wave equations. Now we will get the wave equations. To get the wave equation, we are going to curl this part, the third equation and the fourth equation. Del cross del bar cross E bar. That will be equal to del bar dot E bar minus del squared E bar. Now del bar dot E bar is 0. This goes. So we will have only minus del squared E bar here, and this is nothing but del bar cross minus del B bar by del T. Minus and minus cancels. We will have del bar cross del B bar by del T is equal to del squared E bar. Del by del T outside, we will have del by del T, del bar cross B bar is equal to del squared E bar. Del cross B is epsilon naught mu naught del E bar by del T. So we will have del by del T epsilon naught mu naught del E bar by del T is equal to del squared E bar. So that will be epsilon naught mu naught del squared E by del T squared is equal to del squared E bar. So our wave equation will become del squared E bar minus epsilon naught mu naught del squared E by del T squared is equal to 0. This is the wave equation for electric field. Similarly, take the cross product of this del cross B, the fourth equation, and we will get the wave equation for magnetic field, which will be del squared B bar will be equal minus epsilon naught mu naught del squared b by del t squared is equal to 0. Now the solution of these wave equations, these are the wave equations, okay. The solutions of these wave equations in the general form are E bar is equal to E naught bar e raised to I k bar dot r bar minus omega t, and B bar will be equal to B naught bar e raised to I k bar dot r bar minus omega t. So using these two general solutions, we can find the velocity or the speed at which this wave moves in the vacuum. For finding that, we are going to take these E and B, put them in the wave equation and get the value of V. Let's do that. Now since these two are the solutions of the wave equations, that is, this is the solution of this wave equation and this is the solution of this wave equation, we can take del squared E by del t squared, and we can also take del squared E, put those values here and equate it with 0 and get the velocity. So first I'll take del E. What will be del bar E? That will be equal to, that is del bar dot E bar, right? That will be E naught bar, with this is this differentiation with respect to r. So it will be I k e raised to I k bar dot r bar minus omega t. We need del squared, again we'll have del squared E, differentiating again we'll have I squared k squared E naught bar e raised to I k bar dot r bar minus omega t. E naught e raised to I k bar dot r bar minus omega t is nothing but E bar. So this will be minus k squared E bar. Now with respect to t, so del E bar by del t will be equal to E naught bar minus I omega e raised to I k bar dot r bar minus omega t. Again del squared E by del t squared will be equal to minus I omega the whole squared, E naught bar e raised to I k bar dot r bar minus omega t. This is minus minus is plus, I squared is minus, we will have minus omega squared. This term is E bar, minus omega squared E bar. Put this and this in our wave equation for electric field, we will get minus k squared E bar minus epsilon naught mu naught minus omega squared E bar is equal to 0. Solve this. Solve this, we will get k squared is equal to epsilon naught mu naught omega square, minus minus will become plus, okay. So that will be epsilon naught mu naught will be equal to omega squared, sorry, it will be 1 by epsilon naught mu naught will be omega squared upon k squared. So we'll have omega by k is equal to 1 by root of epsilon naught mu naught. Omega by k is the velocity v and 1 by epsilon naught mu naught is the speed of light c. So the electromagnetic waves in vacuum move with a velocity which is equal to the speed of light. You have to remember this. Omega by k, which is 1 by root of epsilon naught mu naught, and 1 by root of epsilon naught mu naught is equal to c. These Maxwell's equations that we have seen, we can write them in terms of k. So before that we have seen these solutions, E bar is equal to E naught e raised to I k bar dot r bar minus omega t and all that. This k is called as the wave number, which will give us the direction of propagation of the wave vector. E naught, or the magnitude of this E naught, will be the amplitude of the wave. Omega here is called as the angular frequency of the wave. So let's consider the first equation in terms of k. Del bar dot E bar is equal to 0. E bar is E naught e raised to I k dot r minus omega t. So that del dot E will be equal to E naught bar I k e raised to I k bar dot r bar minus omega t. This is equal to 0. So we can this and this is nothing but E bar, I k E bar is equal to 0. That is k bar dot E bar is equal to 0. This means k is perpendicular to E. The second equation, del dot b equals to 0, will give us k bar dot B bar is equal to 0. Put the third equation, E there and B there, we will get B bar is equal to k bar cross E bar divided by omega. And you are using this fourth equation, we will get E bar is equal to minus k bar cross B bar divided by epsilon naught mu naught omega. So these are the Maxwell's four equations in terms of k. K is perpendicular, that is the direction of the wave vector is perpendicular to the direction of electric field. Direction of wave vector is also perpendicular to the direction of magnetic field, and this shows that B, K and E, all three are perpendicular to each other. Now this equation shows that the wave is propagating along any r direction, right? Now let's consider our wave which is propagating along the z-axis, EM wave. This is my z-axis, this is my x-axis, and this is my y-axis. My EM wave is propagating along the z-axis. The electric field vector, let's say, is along the x-axis, so the electric field vector is like this. The wave goes like this. And the magnetic field is along the y-axis, so we will have like this something. I hope that makes sense. Let's call this amplitude as E naught and this amplitude as B naught. So this one is for E and this one is for B. Yeah, okay. So the wave equations here will be E naught e raised to I kz minus omega t. Electric field is along the x hat direction, and B bar will be equal to B naught e raised to I kz minus omega t y hat direction. These are nothing but the equations of plane waves where the amplitude is constant, and we are writing this in terms of Cartesian coordinates. They are having plane wave fronts. So at large distances, the spherical waves and the cylindrical waves will look like plane waves. That is, the sun rays, when they come on earth, they look like plane waves. So at large distances, spherical waves or cylindrical waves will look like plane waves. So this is the direction of propagation, which is the z hat direction. The electric field vector is along the x direction, the magnetic field vector is along the y direction. And the direction of polarization, you have to remember this, the direction of polarization is nothing but the direction of the electric field vector E bar. Now here, how did I define that this is the wave which is moving in the z direction? For that, you consider this argument and take it equal to 0. So we will have here kz minus omega t is equal to 0. Kz is equal to omega t. You can see that this kz is coming out some positive value. So our wave vector is along the positive z direction. Instead, if we had here kz plus omega t, let's say, then this will be equal to kz plus omega t equals to 0. We'll have kz is equal to minus omega t. This kz is equal to some negative value, so our wave vector is along the minus z hat direction. Or a third example you can consider is when the wave electric field vector is like this, E naught e raised to I k by 2 y some value plus root 3 by 2 k z plus omega t, and let's consider this to be along the x hat direction. So to find the direction of the propagation of the wave or the wave vector, we will take the argument equal to 0. So that will have k by 2 y plus root 3 by 2 k z plus omega t is equal to 0. Omega t goes on that side, and we will have here equal to minus omega t. Now you can see this value is some negative omega t, therefore the wave vector k will be equal to minus k by 2 y hat minus root 3 by 2 k z hat. I hope that's clear. Now let's look at an example. The question is, the electric field of an electromagnetic wave is given by E bar is equal to E naught cos pi into 0.3x plus 0.4y minus 1000 t in the k hat direction. The associated magnetic field is question mark. We have to find magnetic field B. We know the formula B is equal to k bar cross E bar divided by omega. But E bar is given. What is k and omega here? K bar here will be equal to, we'll take this term and put it equal to 0. So that will be 0.3 pi x plus 0.4 pi y minus 1000 pi t is equal to 0. So this term will go there and it will become equal to this thing. Now this entire thing, because this is what? This is some kx and this is omega t. So this entire thing is positive. So k bar is equal to 0.3 pi x hat plus 0.4 pi y hat. And omega is omega t, which is 1000 pi. Put the values here. We'll have k cross E, that is 0.3 pi x hat plus 0.4 pi y hat, cross the electric field, that is E naught cos the entire thing k hat, this entire thing, okay, divided by omega, which is 1000 pi. Pi and pi cancels. X cross k we'll write, this is k only, we'll take this as I hat and we will take this as j hat. I cross k will be minus j, so you'll have 0.3 minus j hat plus 0.4. J cross k is plus I hat into the entire thing into E naught cos this term divided by 10 raised to 3. It will come up and we'll have E naught 10 raised to 3, 10 raised to minus 3 and 10 raised to minus 1, 10 raised to minus 4 cos of this entire thing, and the direction will be 4 I hat minus 3 j hat. This is the magnetic field B bar. Okay. Now there is another way of getting just the magnitude of the magnetic field like related to the magnitude of electric field, but the condition is only when both B and E are mutually perpendicular to each other and they are in phase. Only in that case we can use it, and that then comes out to be B naught will be equal to E naught divided by C. From this equation only we can get that will be k by omega into E bar. K by omega is 1 by C E naught. So B naught is equal to E naught by C. This is the magnitude of the amplitude of the magnetic field, and this is the amplitude of the electric field. This is the speed of light c. This formula is valid when electric field and the magnetic field are in phase and mutually perpendicular to each other. Now we can calculate the energy density. We know that UE is equal to epsilon naught by 2 E squared, and magnetic energy or the energy associated with magnetic field is 1 by 2 mu naught B squared. This is the per unit volume, right? Energy per unit volume. This is also energy per unit volume, energy density. So the energy per unit volume in EM fields, electromagnetic fields, UEM will be equal to epsilon naught by 2 E squared plus 1 by 2 mu naught B squared. That is nothing but 1 by 2 will come outside and we'll have epsilon naught E squared plus we'll have B square upon mu naught. In free space or vacuum, the electric field and the energy is equally distributed between the electric and the magnetic field. Therefore, we will have UE upon UM is equal to 1. Or we can write UEM will then equal to either epsilon naught E square, or either it will be B square upon mu naught. Now the average electromagnetic energy density, that is, we can denote it like this. Just for electric field, if we consider, that will be epsilon naught by 2 average of the electric field squared. Epsilon naught by 2 average of this squared. But electric fields and this magnetic fields are sinusoidal, so, and we already know that average of sine squared is equal to average of cos squared is equal to half. So this will be epsilon naught by 2 amplitude squared divided by 2. So that will be epsilon naught by 4 E naught square. Similarly, for the magnetic field, the average energy will be equal to energy density average will be equal to B naught square upon 4 mu naught. But EM, for EM wave, this will be equal to either epsilon naught E naught squared by 2, or it will be equal to B naught squared upon 2 mu naught. Hope that's clear. Now the Poynting vector. The Poynting vector is nothing but the Poynting vector is denoted by S. Okay, I didn't tell you the unit of that energy density, right? The unit of that the electromagnetic energy density that we just saw, UEM, is equal to joules per meter cube. Okay, now the Poynting vector here is nothing but the energy per unit area, energy per unit area per unit time, and of course it is a vector quantity, and the unit here is watt upon meter squared, or we can also call it as joule per meter squared second. The formula for S is 1 by mu naught, it is free space, right? So we have mu naught E bar cross B bar. Okay, now we know that E and B, how they are related is as B is equal to E by C. So S bar can also be written as E squared upon C mu naught. E squared and we are having C is 1 by root of epsilon naught mu naught. This will imply C squared is equal to 1 by epsilon naught mu naught. C into mu naught will be equal to 1 by C into epsilon naught. So this will be C epsilon naught E squared. And again, or one more formula for S is C U E M, and again the direction whatever. And let's say if the wave is propagating along the z hat direction, so we will have here z hat. C U E M z hat. Now the average value of this Poynting vector is nothing but the intensity vector I. And what is the average value of this? C epsilon naught average of E squared. Average of E squared will be E naught squared by 2. So we will have C epsilon naught E naught squared divided by 2. Because the electric fields were sinusoidal, so average of sine squared and average of cos squared is half. So from there we'll get half, and the amplitude square will be E naught squared. C epsilon naught will remain as it is. So I will be either C epsilon naught E naught squared by 2, again same direction as S hat, that is Z hat, S bar, that is Z hat direction, or in terms of magnetic field we can write this as C B naught squared upon 2 mu naught in the again Z hat direction. And then we have the power, or we can also call it as the average power radiated, that is equal to integration over surface S average Poynting vector dot dA bar, that is nothing but integration I bar dot dA bar. The unit of power is watt. This is dA perpendicular, dA perpendicular. Okay. Now we have the radiation pressure. There are two formulas. If the surface is perfectly absorbing, then the pressure will be equal to intensity divided by the speed of light. And if the surface is perfectly reflecting surface, then the pressure will be intensity divided by 2 into speed of light. Next we have the wave impedance for free space, and that is Z0 is equal to E by H. Now H is B by mu naught, okay, and V we know is E by B, and that is nothing but C. So this will be mu naught C, because we are considering vacuum, right? So mu C is nothing but root of epsilon naught mu naught. So this second formula for Z0, one was E by H, the second formula will be root of mu naught divided by epsilon naught. So here you can see that if Z0 is real, there are three cases that arise here. The first case is if Z0 is a real quantity, then we can see that E and B are in phase with each other. And if Z0 is a complex quantity, then E and B are out of phase. And if Z0 is purely imaginary quantity, then there is no propagation of the wave. Also, if epsilon naught and mu naught are real, both, then there will be no loss. If epsilon naught and mu naught are real, then there will be no loss. That medium will not be lossy, and there will be no loss of this information, the wave information. But if epsilon naught and mu naught are complex quantities, then the medium will be lossy. So since it is a complex quantity, we can write epsilon naught as epsilon dash plus I epsilon double dash, the real part and the imaginary part. Similarly, we can write mu naught as mu dash plus I mu double dash, okay, just for understanding. So the real part is the part which stores the energy, and the imaginary part will give us information about the loss of energy. So imaginary part will give loss of energy and the real part will store energy. Well, this has become quite a long video. We will end it here, and in the next part we will look into the electromagnetic wave propagation in the dielectric media, lossless dielectric media.